Hello my quilting family! We're here today with another installment of our case study on the friendship star. And today we're going to cover changing one element. Now we did this in the past case study, but we ended up with some pretty cool little ideas here that I would just love to show you. The first, of course, is we're working on the center. Because that's the easiest. Let's get the easiest one done first, right? So with the center, I went through my orphan block bin and I found a bunch of 4.5-inch squares that would fit perfectly in here that were blue and white. So I decided, okay, I'm going to put some orphan blocks in here and just move them out of my drawer because I can't even put a 4-patch in there anymore. So yeah, we have to move them out. So there's, a little hourglass. We had other little hourglasses as well that we found that are 4.5. Here's another one. There's a few of them here. Like there's just, there's lots that I found. And I also found a bunch of 2.5-inch hourglasses that would finish when you sewed them together at 4.5 inches. So they provide a cute little breakup inside, giving you a little more detailed finish. And they were just sitting there doing nothing, so I made a few of them. There. And we have the monster fabric. I just adore the monster fabric. And we have, like I said, we made a lot of them. We got rid of some of this. Just with these, little hourglasses. Basically, what these little hourglass squares are, is when you're making binding, you know how you cut your 2.5-inch strip at an angle? That's what this is. So I would sew them together and make little tiny blocks that I would use someday. Well, today is that someday. So, and let's see, we'll get to something a little more interesting here. And then my friend and Gil's sister showed me a block that she made that ended up 8.5 inches. And I thought, oh, wouldn't that be cute if it was little? So here it is. And this center is coming up in a paper piecing video that we're doing that's going to be later. But I decided to show you, give you a sneak peek of this block here. Now, when we go and make the center, this center, 6.5, we all of a sudden end up with the half square rectangles now coming into play. And I found more 6.5-inch blocks. So I put those out. And this one, I guess, is called a nested friendship star. But, I mean, it looks like the block is kind of off kilter, a little bit. Which is okay, which is fun. So I made just a couple of those from these were the leftover friendship stars from our scale study. And then I found a bunch of Idaho stars. Aren't these cute? Aren't these just the most adorable thing you've seen? Now, we can put cutting instructions or whatever. We found some pinwheels and a few of those. But we found lots of these little Ohio star blocks. Just cute. More pinwheels. 4-patch. I think this was from my leftover bits from my Quilts of Valor blocks. More of these. Any 6.5-inch unfinished block would work in here. And I'll give you the cutting instructions how to make this with any 6.5-inch block or 4.5-inch block. And we also found some from my niece's quilt that are pyramids. Because we made her a pyramid quilt, which is kind of cute. And more of these. Half square triangles. Just, you gotta love it, right? When you get rid of all these blocks. And they're gonna look cool in the quilt when they're done, right? So, now when we move to an 8.5-inch, and yes, I'll give you the cutting instructions, we also were able to pull out other blocks. And again, we get that tilted, wonky block look because of the half square rectangles. Very, very cool. And these are blocks that we were just kicking around and playing with. That, they're just a lot of fun. Like this one almost looks like a little bouquet with leaves, you know. This is a bigger version of that tiny block that we were looking at earlier. And then we decided, okay, this is something we haven't seen here on this channel yet. I love making string blocks. Oh my gosh, I have buckets of string blocks here that I will eventually make into a quilt. So I decided with our white and blue challenge, I would go through the blue strings and pull out this block. Now this block is a variety of different colors of blue, and this one leans more to the dark blues, but it provides a very striking effect, you know, when you start layering dark blue with dark blue and this slightly, you know, it gives it a cool palette. The other thing with the center of the friendship star, don't forget about things like fussy cutting, or what we call intentional cutting. That's when you take an element of your fabric and you put it front and center in your block. That was that space fabric that we had from the last show when I was talking to you about scale. Well, I put the big round planet in the middle. So it kind of gives a really cool effect, right? Now I'm not sure if these really fit in here, but I decided I was going to go for it anyways. This block, the entire block, could be shrunk, including the center. So we decided we're going to play a little bit. So I decided to make a teenager friendship star, which finishes at 9.5, and then border it with 2-inch strips. And now it's going to be unfinished at 12.5. So it kind of gives a different little look to this. And we made, of course, a couple of them because we were having fun with this. Really a lot of fun. Now, one of the other things I love doing with this star is putting it in as sashing on a much larger quilt. And you're sitting there like, huh? Sashing? Yes, sashing. This is 4 patches, and then the sashing is the friendship star. So it, you know, it's you're taking this and putting this little triangle, half square triangle, as an add-on or a flip and stitch triangle onto the end of the sashing to come together to create a friendship star. Isn't that adorable? You know, and I've done this with full-size quilts, right? And here's the other image, right? The reverse. And one of the things I notice when I'm following all these other people on YouTube right now, the big thing right now, Dresdens. Just adorable little Dresdens. So I decided, yes, let's play with Dresdens in the center. And this is a double pointed Dresden. This is a very simple little tool that you can use. I'm going to ask my cameraman, honey producer, to hold that up. Basically, it's applique on with just stitched on in place. That looks pretty good, eh? And I went and chose all the dark blues out of there so that it would make, you know, you would stand out against the lighter blue. But I cut too many Dresdens, which I always do. I cut too much of stuff and then I lose track of what I'm doing. So I decided to make extra little blocks with some of my Dresdens that I'm going to put in as, they're kind of like a novelty block to add into a quilt, because the quilt is going to be like 12.5 inches blocks, so you can add any kind of novelty quilt in. And those are good for kid quilts because the kids love that, you know, oh, there's something different. So this is the first one with the yellow centers with basically the Dresden. And this is the back of it, right? So you lay your Dresden down and your leaves down and you sew all around them, and then you go to the center and you put in you stuff in well, in my case, a 2.5 inch square of yellow, and you've got this cute little pop of color in a quilt, right? So I'm going to add those in, and I made a few of them because, wow, I made a lot of Dresdens, and I had to play with this. This is just, it was too much fun. It was just too ridiculous. And I also dragged out a lot of my orphan blocks to put in as a novelty block. Now I know this is not changing one element, but so we put some oversized hexies that I used for my husband's quilt, and we had a lot of those. And I also played with some of the circles that I did, and I put them on blue background so they can all go into a quilt. And this is a strawberry moon that we just had a little while ago. And of course we had some other round pieces from things that were just sitting around waiting for something to happen, so I made it happen. And of course we took a variety of colors and whatnot and put them out. So I'm going to try and do a little stitching around here just to move out some embroidery thread while I'm here. I also found bunnies. Yeah, bunnies breed in your stash. So here's bunnies, mom and baby bunny in the sky. And I made a few of those blocks, so they'll all go in for a child's quilt. They'll just be fun. Oh, wrong way. I also found I used to make hippie patches with Dresdens to make repairs on quilts. And I also found Goldilocks and the Three Bears. You gotta love it, right? You just have to have fun with this. And some of these hippie patches are a little outrageous, so we're good. It's all good. It's a hippie patch, right? And we made some that were a little more sedate. I had lots of these, and it was like, nobody's bringing me their quilts back to repair, so maybe they don't like the hippie patches. But I thought, well, they'll make cute little flowers for a child's quilt. And then I found a bunch of pumpkins. Pumpkins, yes, pumpkins. And so we stitched around those just with a hand stitch blanket stitch. I don't, do you want to hold those up again? No? My cameraman, honey producer? They're just hand stitched with blanket stitch. Very cute. Lots of fun. It's a perfect way to get my strength back in my hand. And of course, apples. Apples for the teachers. And I'm not sure, okay, I'll show you the rest of these, hang on. And I did make some fairly, I don't know, artsy kind of blocks too, I guess. Just playing around, having fun. And we have to all be old enough to remember this guy, Raggedy Andy and his little dog. Isn't he cute? So I also made some other blocks that aren't quite big enough that I'm going to have to beef out. But I just thought, well, we'll make some darker blocks and just have fun with them. These are just things. I found my grandmother's tulips. And her tulips are like this. And what I did is I embroidered them onto the block and then cut out the excess to remove the bulk. But they're so cute. I thought, well, we'll throw a few of those in there too, right? This is old school piecing and cutting and, drawing around the cardboard. So I thought, well, let's practice with that. And then we found just some other fun stuff that I've now been working on. And it's been joyful to sit and embroider. This is my puppies. They might not end up in the blue and white quilt, but there's my puppy dogs with the flowers. And of course, I love my cats. And they're embroidered as well, so appliqued and embroidered. So this is what I've been up to this week. Not all of these blocks were sewn this week, but I mean, this is kind of what we're getting ready for. So come back next week to join us for Change One Element, and we're going to work on either the blank canvas squares, which I'm kind of excited about, or the triangles. I haven't decided which one comes next. So we'll see you soon. All right, come on back. Bye. If you have questions about what you saw in this video, or you have ideas for content or something you want to see us do, please put those comments in the description below. But also, while you're there, like, share, and subscribe with your friends. That would really help us out. Okay, I want to thank you and have a great day.